Depression is a common disorder characterized by low mood, apathy, and physiological disturbances that can affect day-to-day life. Chances are you or someone you know has suffered from it, and its prevalence is rising. It is currently treated by targeting the serotonin system, but the truth is that nobody understands depression as its pathophysiology has not yet been elucidated. First, a little background. Since the 1960s, scientists have emphasized the chemical imbalance theory for depression, hypothesizing that mood disorders were simply caused by an imbalance of serotonin, or 5-HT. 5-HT is found throughout the body, notably in serotonergic neurons, the myenteric plexus, the GI system, and platelets. We will focus on the serotonergic system in the brain, but these other sites underlie some of the side effects of serotonergic drugs. In the CNS, serotonin acts as a chemical messenger between neurons, aka a neurotransmitter, and can also act as a hormone, acting on sleep, mood, and leading to signaling cascades within neurons by triggering their GPCR receptors. There are 15 subtypes of receptors, with 14 found in the CNS, and there are tons of drugs on the market that are biased for different receptor subtypes, and they may work to treat depression in some patients, but be intolerable in others. So why do we target the 5-HT system? In short, it works. The first antidepressants, monoamine oxidase inhibitors, or MAOIs, were discovered by serendipity. The first MAOI was derived in the 50s from an antibiotic that didn't work for tuberculosis, but made depressed patients feel better. Researchers found its mechanism was to increase the amount of serotonin in serotonergic synapses by blocking the enzyme responsible for breaking down serotonin, and then looked for alternatives with similar targets that were more selective. This led to the development of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SSRIs, which work by blocking the serotonin transporter, keeping more serotonin in the synaptic cleft so that it can continue to activate the postsynaptic neuron. There is no rationale for developing MAOIs. They were found by chance, leading to a hypothesis of chemical imbalance that SSRIs were then based off of. Psychiatrists were then treating depressed patients suffering from serotonin shortages similarly to treating diabetics suffering from insulin shortages. So how can we rationalize targeting the 5-HT system? 5-HT cell bodies, mainly located in the raphe nucleus, send axons to almost every brain region, notably the amygdala, which regulates mood, as well as the medulla and spinal cord, cerebellum, striatum, and cortex. These regions are involved in everything from movement to memory and learning, so decreased serotonin signaling can mess with your ability to function, as seen in depression. Those drugs work for 40 to 60% of patients, leading to evidence for the chemical imbalance hypothesis, because if these patients could be treated for depression by increasing serotonin levels, that's probably what causes depression, right? Wrong. If this were the case, these drugs would not take weeks to show therapeutic effects, there would be less relapse, and the drugs would be effective in more patients. Antidepressants can take 2 to 4 weeks to kick in, so it can't be as simple as just increasing levels of serotonin. There is a hypothesis that delay is because they help build new neurons via neurogenesis in the hippocampus, because that's observed in adult patients taking SSRIs, but it's contentious because that increased neurogenesis might not benefit patients, as symptom remission doesn't correlate with modifications of hippocampal activity. Despite this, these drugs are still advertised to fix only a chemical imbalance. To quote one of the biggest reviews on the pathophysiology of depression, the current extant knowledge argues against a unified hypothesis of depression. So the chemical imbalance hypothesis may only be a part of a complete picture. Furthermore, in July 2022, an umbrella review on the evidence of the serotonin theory of depression found no convincing evidence that depression is associated with or caused by lower serotonin concentrations. For example, reducing serotonin in volunteers by depleting tryptophan, a chemical important for synthesizing serotonin, does not consistently lower mood in healthy volunteers. And genetic studies do not show an association between genotypes related to the serotonin system and depression. The results from years of studies were just too contradicting. But if not the serotonin system, what can we target? We don't know yet. Many other neurotransmitters have been found to contribute to depression, including norepinephrine and dopamine, but for now, our current lines of treatments targeting neurotransmitters are the best we have, and they may be used in conjunction with cognitive behavioral therapy and exercise. Ever since Prozac took the world by storm, investment in other hypotheses significantly decreased, as research has been seen as controversial and not worth the expense, so innovation has slowed, and we've stuck to SSRIs. Nevertheless, a better understanding of the basic pathophysiology of depression is needed to develop new and effective treatments in the future. So what do you think? Is the serotonin system a worthy target for this CNS disease? Here's just a quick summary of some points for and against the serotonin hypothesis of depression.